I'm Sam from Jessup Says. The focus of my channel is to share and educate on how to buy less, buy better. It's a philosophy that I've adopted in recent years that helps me to be selective in what I purchase. The things that I purchase are typically crafted thoughtfully by artisans who love what they create. These things often take a higher initial investment, but if chosen correctly, can be repaired and maintained forever. Hence, buy less, buy better. I'm actually quite excited today. I get to talk about two of my favorite things combined into what just might be my most favorite shoe. These two things are Crockett and Jones and Loafers. And the topic today is the absolutely outstanding Harvard loafer in whiskey Horween Shell Cordovan. This is going to be a fun one. First up, let's start with what we know about the shoe. They are made in Northampton, England. They are from Crockett and Jones's main collection. They are Goodyear welted in their construction. The Whiskey Shell Cordovan upper is made by Horween. They feature a single leather sole. They are on the last called the 314 last. They cost 640 Great British pounds, direct from Crockett and Jones, which is just shy of 1,200 Australian dollars. And the model itself, the Harvard, is actually an unlined version of the Boston Loafer, another very classic loafer that Crockett and Jones have offered for a long time. Now, let's go into the detail and discuss my experience with the loafers so far. I am a loafer guy. They're not a shoe that I wore growing up. Actually, they're quite unpopular in New Zealand. But there is a simple and lasting allure to the humble loafer that I just love. They are a shoe that I wear with everything, in any weather, and I always feel comfortable and appropriately dressed. A loafer like the Harvard is basically a slipper that you can wear outdoors. The origins of loafers actually don't go back that far at all, and were really only adopted by menswear enthusiasts in the mid-century period, so 1950s. In the early 1900s, what would become known as a loafer was a traditional Norwegian laceless shoe, worn by fishermen and peasants and named the Tessa. A Norwegian man named Nils Tveranger, who studied cordwaining or shoemaking in America, made the original Åland moccasin. He did this by combining the Norwegian Tessa and moccasins that he'd seen worn by the Iroquois tribe whilst working in America. The Åland moccasin was discovered by wealthy sportsmen and well-traveled elites who wore the Åland shoes back in their hometowns, back in America, places like Palm Beach, where Esquire magazine spotted the first pair in 1935. According to Esquire, the Åland shoe were usually paired with a light-colored suit and a Panama hat or a fedora. Arnold Grigrich, the founder of Esquire, saw the potential of the Åland mock and decided to pair with John Bass, the son of the founder of American footwear label G.H. Bass. By 1936, they released the now infamous Norwegian loafer, the name Norwegian coming from the word Norwegian, and they were originally advertised as Norwegian fishing shoes, first retailing for $6.50, which would probably create some problems for me personally were they still priced that way. The design of the Norwegian is basically a thicker soled Åland, and they featured a distinctive cutout in the middle of the strap, which became the hallmark of what we call today penny loafers. Now, advertising in the 1950s is truly some of the most imaginative advertising in history. I love finding old adverts for clothes and shoes from the time. They were really onto something with their language. Early advertisements for the penny loafer refer to its versatility as, and I quote, not just shoes, not slippers, not moccasins. They are ideal for the beach, a camping trip, or lounging about the locker room or a house. Fine for informal and formal occasions. True loafer hype peaked around the 1950s and 60s, where they were paired year-round with everything from shorts to tweed separates. They got the name penny loafer due to the coin that was often kept in the strap's slot on the front of the foot for use at a phone booth or I guess at a local corner store for some lollies. Wearing the loafers sockless actually became a cool trend at the time, though it was unclear whether that was due to John F. Kennedy's influence as a style god at the time, or just the lazy nature of students not wanting to wear them and bother with socks. As I mentioned earlier, the Harvard Loafer is basically the Crockett and Jones Boston Loafer in an unlined design, meaning there is no leather lining. Instead, the outer leather makes contact with the foot, with being basically no backing or lining inside the shoe. It helps to make the shoe very lightweight, comfortable, and breathable for those very hot days. The design of the Harvard has some very clear inspiration from those original Orland moccasins, and the name even reflects their clear history with Ivy League style. The moccasin has high-walled sides, basically where the shoe has a lot of volume along the sides of the foot and they don't tape it down like an Oxford may. The Loafer features a moccasin toe stitch, though it doesn't look like it's to join two pieces of leather, it's more just an aesthetic choice, and I think it looks pretty great. There is the penny strap, a roughly 1.5 inch strap of leather that goes across the vamp of the shoe with a horizontal elliptical slit cut in the center, where you would, I guess, slide a little penny or a coin. The penny strap itself actually helps a lot to keep the foot nice and secure, and I imagine that without it, the shoe would really have no structure at all. The upper of the Loafer is the final element that helps the shoe to be quintessentially Ivy League style, shell cordovan. There is only one leather that offers the depth of color, contrast, and rich luster that you get with whiskey shell cordovan or shell cordovan in general. While its whiskey color and the characteristic sheen of cordovan means that it's easy to wear with a suit or, with a very formal occasion, the fact that it's unlined and extremely soft and comfortable mean that it's easily paired with very casual occasions or casual outfits as well. The Loafer lends itself to be something that can be worn with washed jeans to a fine pressed flannel trouser. So let's talk a little bit more about the unique and rare and quite expensive material known as shell cordovan. This particular shell is created by Horween Tannery out of Chicago, who are regarded as the best producers of shell cordovan in the world and have been doing so since 1905. They've been run and managed by 5 generations of Horweens, from the original Horween, Isidore, to Arnold Sr., who ran the factory from 1949 to 1983. The factory was then run by Arnold Jr. Until 2003. Now Arnold III, aka Skip, runs the company with Nick Horween being the vice president. Cordovan itself is a rare and expensive material coming from a horse as opposed to a cow like a traditional leather. And shell isn't actually leather at all. It's a leather-like membrane or a shell that is taken from the horse's hindquarters or bum. And it differs from calf leather in the way that it's tanned and the way that it wears. These oval-shaped shells are tanned, stuffed, shaved, and then polished, a process that takes at least 6 months. Each shell is slowly steeped in gentle vegetable oils, then it is hand-dyed and then hand-rubbed to create a deep aniline finish. Finally, the shells are once again hand-glazed, and that helps it to achieve the rich and glossy look that is prized by all the people who use the material. It takes a lot of time and handwork to achieve enough membrane for just a single pair of shoes. These two factors, the length of time that it takes and the amount of handwork and the slowness of the process that it takes to tan the membrane, combined with the extremely small return per horse, make the material extremely expensive. Imagine having, let's say, large feet. You might need more than a single side or a single shell per shoe. So you're potentially using 2 animals worth of material just to get a pair of boots, let's say. I'm quite lucky that I have small feet. But why would you want to choose cordovan over calf leather? I mean, it's a fair question to ask to justify the 200 Great British Pound uptake that you would have to pay to get a shell cordovan version of the same Loafer. For me, the main reason is how indestructible cordovan is. It has a very different texture and feel than calf leather. It's less stretchy and more strong. It'll certainly last for many, many years, though so will calf. You may like the material because it's very shiny and requires very minimal maintenance to keep its shine. So without polish, cordovan always looks lustrous and shiny. As you can see right here, pick them up and they're much shinier than you might see, and that's got no polish, no wax, no nothing on it. Whereas, another pair of loafers, which do have polish and shine on it just to maintain that same level of sheen. Finally, if you're not convinced, what about the finish? Shell Cordovan never creases, it only rolls, meaning that your shoes will look nice and clean and, let's say, sort of not unworn, but more naturally worn than, let's say, a calf shoe will. And over many, many years, that sturdiness, that rigidity, that shine, and that sort of roll make the shoe look quite amazing over time. They are definitely built to last. Speaking of lasts, the Harvard is made on a last that debuted when I was not even born yet in 1993. The 314 last was produced as a main collection loafer last and takes inspiration from the classic mid-century shape with high-sided walls and an elegant rounded toe. The shape is fairly straight with generous fitting qualities and a high instep. The 314 last is comfortable from the moment you put it on. Being inspired and being designed to mimic and imitate that classic Ivy League style, they once again work fantastically dressed up or dressed down. They are literally comfortable at home with a pair of sweatpants, a pair of jeans, or, as we said earlier, a classic flannel. I personally wear them indiscriminately. I love loafers. They are just so incredibly easy to wear. They're incredibly comfortable when you do wear them. And it's literally never the wrong choice to pull them on, maybe except for a hike. I am absolutely in love with my Harvards from Crockett and Jones, and they may be one of the most comfortable and iconic shoes I own, competing with, let's say, the Edward Green Galways. As someone who is fascinated with the Ivy League style, and with dad vibes likely in my future, these loafers and I are going to have a great future together, and honestly can't wait. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Links are in the description as always, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers, thanks.